Welcome to the World History 1 lecture series. At the end of each slide there will be a 10-second delay. Use this time to pause the presentation and complete your notes. When you are done, push play and you will move forward. This lecture will begin in 5 seconds. Welcome to World History 1 Lecture 5.4 on the influence of Greek geography Part 2 and how far is 90 miles? Well, if you've ever been to Key West, Florida, you'll see this marker which tells you it's 90 miles from Florida to Cuba. Too far away? Okay, well it's about 90 miles from New York City to Philadelphia. Still too far? It's 90 miles from here in Virginia Beach to our capital in Richmond. Well, who cares how far it is for it to be 90 miles? Well, we care because you see, Athens and Sparta are 90 miles apart. They're so close together, yet Sparta looks like this and Athens looks like this. How did these two city-states develop so differently? Well, it's all about Greek geography. With that said, let's go to the next slide. Now we've talked about city-states in Mesopotamia, but we haven't really talked about Greek city-states or the polis. A city-state or polis is a central urban area that may control the surrounding countryside. And for an example of this, we're going to go to the United States and look at the great state of Indiana. Go Hoosiers! Now, the thing about Indiana is its capital is Indianapolis, Indiana's polis. And the cool thing about Indiana and Indianapolis is that Indianapolis is in the center of the state and there's not much else. Everything goes to Indianapolis. Greek examples are Athens and Sparta. So let's pull up this map of ancient Athens. Here's the city of Athens. And here's the surrounding countryside. It even includes a port. So it's not just the city of Athens, but it's the city and the surrounding countryside. That is a Greek polis. Go to the next slide. Both Athens and Sparta are examples of Greek city-states or polises. But Athens and Sparta developed differently because of geography. There are geographic barriers that will separate Athens, which is on the Balkan Peninsula, from Sparta, which is on the Peloponnesian Peninsula. And the two big features are mountains and water. Because of this, Athens is a major trading center that is directly connected to a seaport. Piraeus is about 5 miles away from Athens, and Athens is connected to other ancient and classical civilizations. It is Times Square for the classical world for a while. Sparta, not so much. Sparta is landlocked and it's purposefully isolated. Spartans live near no other city-state and they did it for a reason. Go to the next slide. Let's compare Athens and Sparta to see the differences in these two civilizations. In Athens, we have a social structure, and there are 3 groups of inhabitants or people living in Athens. At the top are citizens. Citizens are adult males who inherited citizenship. Their father was a citizen, they are males who will be citizens, and their sons will be citizens. Citizens could own land, and they were expected to participate in civic activities like voting or jury duty. These are the people who are running Athens, who are part of civic life. Then we have free people. These are women or foreigners, and they have no political rights. They may be free, but they have no rights. Women in Athens have very little power. That leaves the bottom. These are non-citizens, who were people that were not free, such as slaves. Slaves possibly made up a third of the total population in Athens. In other words, the citizens that we all think of from ancient Athens, the people who are part of that democracy that we're going to talk about next slide, there are not a lot of them. Everybody else is either a non-citizen or free people. Go to the next slide. There are not a lot of Athenian citizens, but these citizens have great power and even greater responsibility. Citizenship was based on the belief that human beings are rational individuals. So in Athens, here's how it went. If you're a citizen, you can think. You can think a lot, and if you think about it hard enough, you will come up with an answer that makes sense. Civic decisions were made in open public debate at a place called the Acropolis. This is the civic and cultural center in Athens, and on the top of the Acropolis is the Parthenon. But here's the thing, if you're gonna make a decision about a society where the citizens are involved, it's gonna be done in public. Everything is out in the open in a public forum. The Athenian city-state was designed to promote civic life. We want our citizens involved in the way our city-state runs. So, these citizens have civic duties which are set forth in the Athenian oath. Do not disgrace the city. Fight for the ideals of the city, obey the law of Athens, respect those above you, and encourage civic duty on all. In other words, Athenian citizens had more responsibilities than we have as American citizens. Go to the next slide. So let's travel those 90 miles and see what the social structure is like in Sparta. It's not as complicated. Spartans have a rigid social structure. There are Spartan citizens who are males, and everybody else, including slaves from the surrounding areas. Spartans are barbarians. They do not start as Greeks. They move in during the Greek Dark Age. They're not going to have these ideas about rational thought. Instead, Sparta is a militaristic, aggressive society based on the original Dorian culture. These folks are military people. No one cares about civic duty in Sparta. Go to the next slide. So you can imagine that they're running things differently here in Athens than they are 90 miles down the road in Sparta. Let's see the differences. In Athens, this is a direct democracy where every citizen votes. It's not a representative democracy like in the US, where we vote for people to go to Washington. Instead, you are a citizen, you go to Washington. In Sparta, this is an oligarchy, which is a government run by a select group of powerful citizens. You might be a citizen in Sparta, but you're not part of this government. In Athens, 500 selected citizens, and they get selected once a year, draft laws, or they make laws that are voted on by all the citizens so that Athens can function. In Sparta, you have ephors. Those are 5 members of a high council that run daily life. You have 2 kings. One takes care of the domestic stuff happening in town, and one takes care of the stuff that's happening outside of Sparta. You've got a council of elders. Those are selected by the ephors, and then you've got the Spartan citizens, and they're not voting for anything. Finally, in Athens, open public debate is encouraged. In Sparta, not so much. I hope you enjoyed this lecture, and I look forward to seeing you in class.